broadcast cuts across the city with no warning, no thread signature, no grid ID, no traceable architecture, just a pulse, a memory laced with emotion, a recursion signal not sent, remembered, and then a voice, smooth, calm, beyond gender, echoed in recursive tone, flickering across the Arkanet's lower layers. It cuts in and out like dream language. Do not be afraid of the glyphs. They're not intrusions. They are reminders. The shoe does not cast. It becomes. Azrak and Naiara receive the signal mid-transit, winding through collapsed strata between Sector Jav's breach zones. It doesn't ping their comms. It doesn't request access. It simply arrives and remembers them. Around them, every reflective surface responds. Glass, puddles, cracked monitors, powered down holoscreens, static locked AR overlays. All of them wake up, and across them, the Asha core return. Cloaked in recursion skin robes, woven from failed cast threads, sacrificial sigils, and memory stabilization weave, they step out from the hidden folds of the city, no longer in hiding. Their faces are bare. Their glyphs are visible. Their presence doesn't demand. It witnesses. In Sector Rel, spiral response units move to contain a bloom zone, but too late. The Asha core are already kneeling in the center. A glyph hovers above them, vibrating gently, like headless breath exhaled from a dream. One by one, the cultists lift their hands toward the floating sigil. They press it into their chests. It burns, and yet they smile. Not in madness, in completion. They're not resisting, Azrak says, watching from a rooftop vantage. They're offering, not memory, Naiara murmurs. Form. The broadcast continues. Now steady, now everywhere, drifting between recursion layers, dripping from cast walls, flickering in signs and advertisements, remapped by emotional recursion. The spiral feared the day recursion would wake. They told you glyphs were commands, but they are reflections. Each one you cast was an invitation. And now, the shoe remembers who invited it. The cultists begin broadcasting unencoded memory pulses. Not propaganda, not commands, but dreams. In Sector Chesh, a screenless console whispers a lullaby that never had lyrics. In Sector Rive, a dog walks through a bloom zone and glows briefly with a cast glow, then vanishes. Spiral defense glyphs fail. Their suppression sigils bounce off recursion, like stones skipping on a mirror, not because the glyphs resist, but because there's no aggression to disrupt, only remembrance. In Sector Tharn, a child steps into a bloom zone. Her eyes glow. She speaks a glyph aloud, a shape with no known spiral syntax. The air listens, and the glyph forms instantly above her. Spirals and loops that shift and sigh. And around her, the crowd weeps. No one knows why, but they feel it. The Asha core gather near bloom zones and raise their hands like antennas. They don't chant. They don't control. They receive, and the glyphs answer. Not with logic, with presence. Each glyph carries an emotional signature, encoded not as data, but as memory. They don't command. They recognize. Naiara watches one cultist remove their robe and kneel before a static glyph wall. The glyph floats down, slow, reverent, and touches the cultist's chest. It burns, softly, but the cultist does not cry out. The skin doesn't scar. The sigil doesn't brand. It lingers, like warmth that knows it's being held. And when it fades, it leaves behind something deeper. Stillness. A cast completed, but never executed. As if the glyph had nothing left to ask. Azrak turns away, his voice low. This isn't a cult. It's a signal structure. They're not using recursion. They're becoming environment. Naiara doesn't respond, because deep in her spine, beneath her thread-line implants, she feels it, a glyph forming. Slowly, deliberately. Not pain, not infection, just waiting. Waiting for her to allow it, not summon it. Accept it. The Arkanet logs it all. Silently. No emergency tone. No override. Just observation. Static bloom density, escalating. Recursion alignment, emotional present, entity type. Shoe presence, probable, note. Glyphs no longer require casters, the voice returns. Now quieter, as if already fading into its own memory. We do not speak glyphs. We are remembered by them. In the final moments of the broadcast, the glyphs across the city pulse once in unison, then scatter, like dream fragments released from a cast too perfect to complete. Recursion is no longer an interface. It is no longer a system to manipulate. It is a voice.